Android Studio was definitely different compared to the things and tools that I usually use, like Swift. I definitely had to navigate the Android Studio and then learn about the tools to be able to use voice recognition and etc. And then even learn about the drawing tools and everything. So I'm glad that I had got it in a more visual and controlled way. I was able to read the XML data and then create the custom UIs that I was able to create. All right, so the first thing that we're talking about is the CAAR SPM.java, which is basically the main activity. So during this, you actually have the data model classes, and these represents the workflow. So the workflow contains the task contains the steps, and the step contains the aid options. And this is kind of just gives us a hierarchy for our XML data structure. Then getting down to the actual public methods required by the specification on the document for the project, you have the get task. The get task method retrieves the workflow data. The get steps number returns the count of steps in a task. Then the generate circle triggers a visual update. The voice recognition method, which is the most important thing about project, um, and links to our actual goal, works together as a system. So it includes the start voice recognition that activates the microphone, the analyze recognition that processes the speech input, and then the handle command that interprets the voice commands. All right, and then you have other methods like the string to num method that handles speech to number conversion. So basically, when someone says one, one also sounds like won like I won a award. So you kind of had to convert it to make sure that it's actually converting to an actual number instead of a something else that we don't want it to do. So kind of just improving that user experience. And then the last thing is probably going down. You have the draw with a semicircle on here, and that method basically creates our visual interface. So it calculates the actual positions along a curved arc, like we have it. I'm kind of gonna cover my face, but if you can look to the right, you kind of have that arc right there, and it uses some math functions that draws the connecting lines between the steps and then handles the selection highlighting. So basically, when someone actually says the number one, it'll highlight that and then push it to the sensor. So it'll basically update that display to show the corresponding color square in the centered circle, which was also on the document with the specifications. So I try to just kind of try to make it look exactly like that, but in kind of my own way. And also, because it's my first time actually dealing with an Android application without actually working on a team, I kind of had to adapt and kind of had to write, if you can see, actual notes or a diagram on how I would organize everything and place everything. So I have the CAAR PSM.java. Then I have voice recognition, workflow management, visual display, and then data organization all in the list. And then the other words kind of just describes on how I could implement it or ideas like or I could implement it, and it could work with everything that I have and the hierarchy that I have, because I also have to connect that with the XML data that we'll talk about in a second. All right, so now for the next file, we have the activity main XML. So this is this file right here. Not really a big file, but it kind of defines the user interface part. So it's the UI and the UX, and the layout of the whole system. Um, so it points to the relative layout. So the relative layout is kind of like um, explaining it. It's always been trying to kind of tricky, but when you have a relative layout, it's like a container that allows you to position elements relative to each other. So it's facing each other. And then you have the drawing area, which is defined as a view element. So it's a drawing area right there. So the area, go to that, go back real quick. Okay, yeah. So you have the layout height being 350. Um, and then after that, so in our JavaScript, we're gonna replace this with a custom view that handles our workflow visualization. Anyway, so the next thing that we have is the text view. So this is a text view. It displays the status messages to users. So being in school and kind of learning about UI and UX, you learn how to make all of your mobile applications user friendly. So making it user friendly, meaning that every step that the user takes, the user should know the result of whatever they do. So if they press a button, they should know that they clicked the button instead of using the user in confusion. So once they hit a button, I'll move my screen over a little bit. It say a number. Once they hit that, it'll start um, listening, but also the customer will know because it'll say initializing the voice recognition. So then they can start talking, and then the system can actually kind of just try to recognize the voice. Then after that, you have the button element that provides the interface for the voice input. The same thing that I just showed, where it's purple at the bottom, it says say a number. It's positioned below the status. Um, and then after that, uh, so that's about it for that UI and UX part. And all of these are just connected to a relative layout, position attributes, and the status text is positioned below the drawing area. So all these connected just to kind of build a UI and UX where it allows the application to be user friendly and the user is able to understand everything that they go through within the application, even though it's not a big, a process. They have to say number, then they have to know that because they click this, it's going to start initializing the voice and listening to what they're saying. So then the customer knows or the user knows to actually say the number of the step so they can actually recognize the speech. And then the rest of the code, which I developed, will basically just push out the output that they'll see. And also going back to the comrade, the Camerad workflow, you have, I'm not sure if you can see, but you have it showing the job task, the description of the goal, and then it shows the steps and the steps in this workflow. And we need this for all the files. So this is very important. All right, so quick change of scenery, but you might be able to see my screen a little easier and actually the charts that I've created for the activity main XML. Um, so this is how I kind of charted everything. So here we go, right here. So this is how I wanted everything to look. I created a chart where it has 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and then how I would want the actual UI and UX interface to look like. So I said I wanted, so if somebody says three, then that all the cubes are different colors. So that color cube would come to the middle, and under it you will have the step, and then it'll actually say the steps selected. So the user will actually know that the voice recognition worked and they're on the correct step. And then um, under that, it will say a number. You see that right there. So it says a number. So it basically tells the user to say the number, and then the code handles the output that it gives. But the next thing we'll go to is the actual Android manifest. And Android manifest, go to that file real quick. It's not a deep file, but it's a file that we need to accomplish the goal that we have. And one of the main goals was voice recognition. So we need this because we need to ask the user for permission, and we need to be able to use the tools. And how we use the tools for no to actually use the emulator that we're using, we need to create, if not already created, an Android manifest. So record audio. So record audio. What that basically does is that it allows a microphone access for the voice recognition, and then the internet permission, if needs to be, enables network connectivity. And what it does is that the Android just requests the user approval for the permissions after they open the application, and that's basically what that is. So kind of did some research on how to structure this, learned how to do that, set it up. So now I've already used the emulator, but if it was my first time using the emulator, it'll ask me if I could use my microphone. So right now I'm on Mac OS, so it just popped up in the middle of my screen if I can allow it or give permission to use my microphone, and then I said allow, and then it was able to hear me. I had to configure some things in the settings just to make sure that my microphone had access, etc., and everything worked out. So that's it for all the files that was created. Then I'll go ahead and just walk through the whole application and how it works. All right. Also, during this demo, I might say numbers twice just to make sure that it hears me. Okay. My mic is kind of low on here. It's just my computer. One, one, uh, two, two, three, three, four, four, five, five. Oh, hold on 1 second. Five, five, five. Okay, we go.